This is aluminum. Aluminum for our industries and aluminum for our homes. Aluminum for building, for transportation, for communication, for agriculture, and for national defense.
Aluminum. This versatile metal can be seen all around us, and it is in fact part of our everyday lives. It has been at the core of our current understanding of what it means to be modern, making the 20th century possible through its mass production. In spite of the multitude of ways that the world has benefited from aluminum production, it is likely that a few really question where these products come from, or how it impacts other nations.
The raw material from which aluminum is made is found in many tropical areas. Here on the island of Jamaica, the aluminum ore, known as bauxite, lies close to the surface in the rich red earth.
Bauxite is the ore from which most of the world's aluminum is made. The largest deposits of bauxites can be found in subtropical regions of the world, and one of them is Jamaica.
So bauxite comes up as an issue, comes up as a potential site of development in the 1940s, when, of course, the use of aluminum is becoming more prevalent through the manufacture of aircraft, different kinds of weapons, as well as some domestic items. And large companies, large transnationals like Alcan and so on, begin prospecting in Jamaica with the intent of mining. So it was Alcan, I think Kaiser and Reynolds.
Before mining, Jamaica's economy was largely based on agriculture, with the vast majority of labor force engaged in sugar production.
The main issue that we need to keep front and center when we think about bauxite is the whole question of alternative development. Jamaica, like most of the larger islands of the Anglophone Caribbean, comes out of a situation of slavery, enslavement for the production of sugar. And Jamaica was a plantation economy. It was the plantation economy par excellence in the region. And what that meant is that the entire focus of the country, of the island, was on the production of luxury goods, in this case sugar, for export overseas.
During this time, lands were taken by the Jamaican governor and were given to the British Crown for the purpose of bauxite mining. As a Commonwealth company, the Crown prioritized the Canadian company Alcan in their distribution of these lands. The company is known to have taken advantage of the socio-political context of the countries where they were operating, essentially benefiting from, and in some cases, fueling tensions.
The problem was that the arrangements which were made by the colonial state at that time, Jamaica would have still been a colony of Britain in the 1950s when bauxite began, were not very favorable to the Jamaican people. And also, Jamaica has a large population of small farmers who are actually quite poor and who own very small amounts of land and often don't even hold title to the, especially at that point, didn't hold title to the lands on which they were living. And so it was relatively easy to dispossess people. So bauxite, in a way, contributed to the greater impoverishment of the majority of the people. And the profits that were made from it did not stay in Jamaica. They left Jamaica and went to the metropoles, to the larger economies like Canada, like Australia, like the US.
Aside from the evident socio-cultural impact of the bauxite industry, the extraction of this mineral has also caused massive degradation of landscapes in the region.
If you ask any Jamaican child that goes to school, they'll know bauxite is one of the main minerals that we speak about, even more so than like gold or silver. It's always bauxite. Secondarily, you'll find that there's a lot of red dirt, and we're told as kids to kind of avoid the red dirt because it will stain our shoes and stuff like that. Red dirt is quite prevalent in Jamaica, at least where I lived, so much so that you live there not even thinking about living there without the red dirt.
And seeing the earth being shipped out, it was literally earth in pails. You would see the pails going across the road, the pails full of earth going across the road as they dumped the pails of earth into the ship. And as a child, I remember feeling, I was only a kid, but I remember feeling there was something not quite right about this happening.
Over the following decades, the bauxite industry in Jamaica embedded and flowed. In the 1970s, Jamaica's socialist government attempted to repatriate profits from the bauxite industry. This backfired, leading to the flights of many corporations to other bauxite-producing nations. Now, there is a renewed interest in the Jamaican bauxite industry.
Now, the companies are trying to take over areas of the country where there has been no mining previously. And so there is a movement against trying to take over areas of the interior of Jamaica, which are associated, for example, with maroon struggles, maroons being people who ran away from plantations and went to settle in the mountains.
Cockpit country is in west of Jamaica and has the largest intact of primary forest. With high levels of biological diversity, home to many rare species, and with connection to important water reservoir, this area has significant ecological, historical, and cultural value. In 2007, after strong resistance from communities, the government of Jamaica stated that no mining would take place in Cockpit country, but boundaries were not in place to officially delineate the no mining zones.
The problem here is, as always, the complicity of the state with the large transnationals. And the state is very keen on having the expansion of this mining.
Bauxite were prospecting and mining has been expanding into communities that were left out of the designated protected areas. In addition, new mining leases have been granted by the government, which allow companies to mine right up to the edge of the protected area boundaries. Yet many in Jamaica are resisting this encroachment. In particular, the maroon communities who have been pushing back against bauxite industry and the government.
Tell the Jamaican government say the Cockpit country can't mine, but belongs to a certain set of people. You are rich. No mining, no mining, no mining.
In addition to ongoing conflict of environmental damage and land rights, the bauxite mining in Jamaica also raises serious concerns over food sovereignty and how this industry is part of what keeps the country dependent.
I mean, George Beckford, who is the Jamaican economist par excellence, who talks about dependency, says in a way that our persistent poverty is, part of this project of, dependency. We're always going to be poor if we can't get out of this trap of dependency. And that one of the key shots that have to be fired around that is food security. So we have to be able to hold on to the land and be able to produce food to feed ourselves.
Generally, we don't really recognize when capitalism is encroaching its way into our livelihood because we're so focused on making ends meet that all other things are like secondary. But being someone, and I guess I consider myself of the Jamaican diaspora, who was able to look from the outside in, I'm realizing now that yes, it is indeed an issue, but I find that these mining companies kind of take advantage of the fact that most locals don't know or aren't aware of these things or are too focused on making ends meet that they feel that it's okay to do this.
This form of dependency is deeply connected to histories of colonialism and its ongoing formations and iterations.
Well, I see it as definitely connected to imperialism and ongoing colonialism. Colonialism isn't over. It just reorganizes itself in different ways. And, this is an ongoing form. This is an ongoing episode in the drama of deterritorialization from the people who own and control most of the power in the world. what I think is the critical piece of it is, how do we fight back, and how do we build this vision of what an alternative is at this point? And how do we do that based on the particular history of that industry, but also the particular history of our dependency, our notion of dependency.